Hey everyone, welcome to The Leader's Edge, your path to personal and leadership growth. I'm your host, Steve Steele, alongside my co-host and partner in leadership, Ernalita Kohrs. As certified speakers, coaches, and corporate facilitators, we're dedicated to bringing you powerful principles to fuel your leadership journey and personal growth. Now, whether you're an entrepreneur just starting out, a new leader taking the reins, or a seasoned pro looking to refine your skills, this show is for you. We'll be diving deep into personal strategies to help you strengthen your mindset and leadership abilities. But before we jump in, a huge shout out to all of our amazing listeners. Thank you so much each and every week for listening. We certainly appreciate it. We would not be here without your incredible support. Now, let's get down to business and help you unlock your full potential. Hey, Ernalita, how are you doing, partner?
Hi, partner. Hello, everyone. This is your co-host, Ernalita, Ernie Kohrs. And I'm doing great, partner. This is a very interesting show that we're having today, don't you think?
It is. Probably one of the most interesting shows we've had in a while. It's pretty amazing what's going to happen. So
yes. And as we have shared before, The Leader's Edge is raw, honest, and authentic. And this is one of those shows. So, can I share or can I introduce our guest today, partner?
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron, go right ahead. Tell us who's
awesome.
Going on.
Yes, our guest this morning or evening or afternoon, wherever you're tuning from, brings a deeply original voice to questions of identity, healing, and the messy, beautiful work of becoming. His writing defies genre, weaving symbolic narratives that are dreamlike, lyrical, and poetic, inviting readers into the raw, unfiltered beauty of being human. With roots in shamanism, the Enneagram, and Jungian alchemy, he explores the phenomenological experience of love, how it melts the heart in statues of identity, and invites us to play with the clay of the soul. Through this work, he seeks to break the norms of expression and awaken truth in its most idiosyncratic, real, and uncomfortable forms. Beyond the page, he works as a designer, coach, and teacher who bridges the worlds of inner transformation and organizational innovation. He helps leaders and teams shape visionary ideas into ventures that honor both soul and strategy. Please help me welcome to the stage, Mr. Jonathan Kohrs.
John!
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, Ernie.
How are you doing?
Hi.
Are you doing all right today?
I'm doing great. I love being on your show. Thank you for having me.
Now, John, tell us where you're coming from. Where are you coming from?
Kansas City. I've been here for over 20 years.
Wow. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So, John, we're going to be talking about your book today, entitled Horribly Lovely. Thank you, Ernie. Showed that. Yes, beautiful. Yeah, this book was very, very, I don't know the word for it. It was very one of the most different type books I've ever read. And it was it's full of imagery, full of all kind of symbolism, all kinds of things. And you really had to stay with it to really, as we move through the book with the characters. And so we're going to talk about that. I mean, we talked about psychology. We talk about emotions in this thing. We're talking about 9 years to create this book, right?
9 years.
Yeah. So so the writing is there, and it's so why did you write the book, John? I mean, what was the purpose of writing a book that took you 9 years?
Oh, I remember the very first page I wrote. I was in a coffee shop in Manhattan, Kansas, of all places. And there's so much transformation and change happening in my life. But underneath all of that was this shame of who I was. And I remember just writing this page in this coffee shop and just crying. I was looking around and seeing these people to see if they would notice me, but I just kept writing. And it's like my body was compelled to start telling me a deeper story of myself. So that was the very first page 9 years ago.
Wow.
John, reading your book helps me reflect that these are the things that we all feel, that we all experience, and we all hide behind closed doors. This book itself actually opens your curtain.
Yeah.
If I'm saying that correctly.
It does. Opens the curtain, sheds the skin. I think there's a foreword written that talks about a snake shedding all those layers. Mm-hmm. It is very much a raw, unfiltered view into becoming, transformation, awakening, whatever you want to call it. But it's those big changes in your life where you're just gripping something, trying to hold on to something coming through you. I wanted to write a very, very, very raw, real, authentic version of that.
Yeah, and I noticed, John, as well, the main theme that kept coming up in this particular book for me was the theme of love and how to be loved and how to love another person and how to love yourself at the same time. There's so many dynamics there. Can you kind of share a little bit of what that meant when you were writing?
Yeah, I have goosebumps. Thank you for saying that, Steve. For any Enneagrammers out there, I'm an Enneagram type 9. So love and peace and harmony is somehow like wired into my soul. But it very much started out with all these affairs and love that was surrounding me, and there was so much shame around what was happening and who was I, and that was the catalyst to start writing. And at first, it started out as this memoir of love addiction. Like, what is love addiction, and what is this feeling, and why am I doing the things that I'm doing? And through really being a father and lots of different relationships in each chapter that were very much teachers to me, there's this evolution of like, what really is love? And we hear these buzzwords, just be love, let love in, receive love. And there's this like spiritual quips everywhere. But what does that really mean? It's like, you've got to get in and start like detangling and pulling things out to understand like what really is love. So across this journey, that definition of love changed frequently through the book for those readers.
Yeah.
I think at one point I had a teacher that was really talking about 3 levels of love. And he said, John, there's this big conscious love, this fusion with the divine, this feeling seen in everything you're doing. That's one version of love, but we don't get to experience that much as humans. And then there's this lower form of love that, it's really apathetic love. And it's, sympathy. It's, oh, you're doing a great job. It's sometimes being so busy and unpresent with the one you love. You're kind of giving half gestures, or you don't even notice the other person. And he said, John, you've been used to apathetic love your whole life. The level above that, in between big conscious love and apathetic love, is conflict love.
Wow.
And this is when people are in conflict with you. They disagree with you. They notice you. They tell you what they think. They engage with you. There's this conflict and tension that requires 2 separate parties. And I remember hearing that and thinking, how can conflict be love? And how can that be a higher form of this love that I've known? So it's stories like this that I go through and how did I really integrate and feel that? And what were the stories surrounding my life to really try to understand a different definition of like, what is this thing we call love? I think in the end, the book very much embodies it. It is horribly lovely. It's messy. It's painful. It's beautiful. It's joyful. It can be angry. There's just this thing that surrounds us that helps us to fully exist as we are. And sometimes it's not all rainbows. Sometimes it can be really hard. And how do we see the beauty of what's really happening underneath for us?
Yeah.
So.
That is so beautiful. And I do agree in relationships like marriage or partnership, sometimes our partner is the very same person that irritates or makes us angry easily, right? So I love the title, Horribly Lovely. And I was going to ask you why that title, but you kind of touched on it. But so basically, Horribly Lovely is your story. The story that's going on, your transformation, and what that stage was. But I noticed on the book, John, I was about to call you the name, Ben. I noticed on the book, John,
Ben's the main character.
That you used the name Ben. What was the story behind that?
Yeah. It started out as a different name. And it was an individual that I had never met that I felt like I deeply hurt. And I think this deep shame, which to me is like beyond just you're doing a bad thing. It's like you are a bad person. And I think underneath that shame is you don't deserve to exist. You don't have any worth to exist. And I started writing the first couple of chapters in this person's name that I had hurt. And it was a way for me to really project everything onto this person. And I think as the story evolved, it became Ben. And it was a way for me to see myself and to write a story that I don't think I was capable of really seeing or feeling or embodying myself. So Ben was very much this kind of placeholder that allowed me to see what was really happening. I also think it's interesting. Every character in the book, I did hours and hours of what is the meaning of the name and how does it reflect the character and what was happening. So, Ben in Hebrew is son or boy.
Mm-hmm.
I think the book is about love. I think it's about the messy art and beauty of becoming. I think it's also a journey of fatherhood through divorce and how do you figure out what kind of dad you are? So Ben in Hebrew means son or boy, and I think it evolves to the book as son to a father to a son, a boy as a father. Like, how are we a son or a daughter of God, a son to myself, and then finally, like who am I really as a father? So I think Ben holds this journey of fatherhood that's tucked underneath the story of the book.
I want to tell our readers right away, when you read this book, prepare yourself to be a little uncomfortable. Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
And because you're going to be uncomfortable with some of the confrontation with yourself in it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because you're going to, when I was reading this, I saw bits and pieces of me, and I saw, and I would relate to certain particular characters, or I'd relate to certain particular symbolism, or relate to a particular situation that may have taken place. And I'm thinking, so I want to just tell our readers, when you get this book and you read it, and guys, go out and get it because you need to read it.
Yes.
It is, be prepared because there's some confrontation in there. I mean, you're going to have to, because you're going to confront yourself. And that's the hard work, because I call it in my life with the stuff that I've done, John, is dark work. And that dark work is difficult sometimes to go through. But I think many of us, to understand ourselves, to understand who we are, must go through this dark work, or go through the work that's needed. And it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be tough. But it can be the depth of it can be really, if you think about it as you move forward, the depth of it can be so poetic in your life. So, John, you have several characters that are in the book as well, right? So I know that for me, there's a lot of them, but there's about 3 or 4 that stand out. Tell me who Bear was. Bear, B-E-A-R. Tell me who Bear was.
The bear.
Yeah. It's so much fun writing this, because it was like my soul was getting channeled through my body to write a lot of these characters. And Steve, I really appreciate what you said about people who read this book and really doing the dark work. And I think in shame, we tend to hide from everybody.
Yes.
We hide from ourselves, and we don't let anything enter. And underneath that shame is something beautiful of who we are.
Yes.
But it's like it's got to rise to the surface, and we've got to be able to pierce all that shame with some light to say, okay, who's in there? And that very much was like me writing the book. It's like my fingers could tell me the story. And this bear kind of emerged as a character through the entire thing. And when I was first writing it, I was very much fighting with this bear. And you can read in the story, he's kind of behind walls looking through cracks. He's in this cave. He's got these ferocious claws. He's always in there kind of surrounding Ben. And he has this kind of evil feel to him. Like he's almost going to destroy what's around him.
Right.
And I think that was very much in this destructive part of my life where I was really destroying things around me that were really just trying to love me. And as this bear evolves, it really holds ego, it holds soul, it holds essence. The bear, in my relationship with the bear, transforms just as much as you see Ben or myself transform in this book.
Yep.
I think in early chapters, it's always there. Like Ben's looking at Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, the great bear, the little bear. It's always there symbolically. And I think the bear really represents this transformative potential that we all have. That's really deeply in our unconscious. When you do that dark work and you really go and find the truth of who you are that's hidden, I think there's this extreme transformative potential. And it's so symbolic of the bear that hibernates in the cave and stays in the darkness and then emerges. I think at the end of the book, what I really feel the bear represented for me was this deep power of fatherhood, of family, of commitment, of power, protection, honor. And again, it was much like the character. I couldn't own that until I could really see my story through that shame.
Can I follow up with this real quick, Ernie?
Yes, partner.
Did you see yourself and Bear evolving together throughout the process of the book and reaching a different place than you were? Because I noticed Ben was pretty chaotic at the very beginning, to be honest. Pretty chaotic. And so was Bear, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of chaos going in their life. But as you move through the book, you begin to see Bear and Ben really begin to move in a parallel direction and begin to really be very, very symbiotic.
Yeah.
And I mean, did you decide when you wrote the book, was that your thought process when you were writing, or did you just develop it that way?
It just started to develop. And then as I became more conscious of my story and what I was writing, it got more integrative. I think, the bear isn't it until halfway through the book, and then Bear starts calling it a him. Yeah. It's not even personified.
That.
Yeah. I appreciate, so there's like little things of how does the bear turn into something real? And I think at the easiest, simplest layer, it's how does your ego surrender or subserviate to your soul, to your essence? And I think that really is the power. It's like the ego is really important, but it has to realize that it's really part of this bigger thing of you. And it has to realize that it has this divine purpose. And I think that's the integration of Ben and the bear. And by the end, I don't want to ruin the end of the story, but they're flowing and dancing and doing all sorts of things together.
Yeah. They evolve amazingly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know there are other characters in the book, and I love the other two, but there's one character that we did not talk about in the content build last week as I was trying to finish the book.
Are you digging up something new, Ernie, here?
I am digging up something new, and this is something that I want to talk about. Carl Jung.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Can you expand, like, where does Carl Jung play in the story in the book?
Yeah. I'm so grateful for the relationships I've had in my life, and each one has been a master teacher for me. And there was a relationship that really took me into Carl Jung and depth psychology, and the whole book is really based on his work on alchemy. And alchemy really is this transformative process to turn lead into gold. But for us, it's turning what we think is not worthy or not valuable and realizing that's something inherently valuable. It's like finding the gold within us. And he did a lot. I won't go through all the background of his research. The Red Book and some of his writings really go into alchemy and how he developed this. But there's 7 stages. Boy, what year was it? Maybe 2019. I started really researching his work. And that became the architecture for the book. The 7 stages of alchemy, the book is really divided into those. It's very elemental. There's fire, air, wind, and earth in different places. So it's like you could read this book, I hope, a number of different times, and you would get something different each time.
No doubt.
And Jung, it's like as I wrote the book, I started to have a relationship with him directly. So in periods of deep pain, I would write, and I could hear his voice, like trying to shape what I was writing, trying to help me find truth in it, trying to just kind of whisper different things that were happening. So Carl, in the book, there's a direct conversation with him, very much like a father figure. But it also introduces myth. There's a lot of myth. There's a lot of dreams. There's a lot of symbology. I think all that really is a nod to his work, which I think is reemerging. I think, like, what is psychology? What is depth psychology? Like, how do we really figure out who we are? What is this process? I think there's more of that work coming back up to the surface to help in this time.
Awesome. I think I just opened up a can of worms, and I was trying to. We're trying to give snippets of the book, not the whole book. We will take a quick break. John slash Ben just shared the birth of the book and the snippets on why horribly lovely is the story. What's the actual message of the book? When we return, we will dive a little bit deeper within the book itself. We will be right back to the Leader's Edge.
Do you want to grow a team of transformational leaders who can take your organization to the next level? Do you want to attract, retain, and develop top talent? Do you want to leverage generational insights and improve your employees' communication, interpersonal, and productivity skills? If your answer is yes to any or all of these, you are in the right place. Steve Steele and Ernie Dichotomies, hosts of The Leader's Edge, are seasoned coaches and facilitators with Maxwell Leadership Team. They will leverage leadership content, tools, and resources to help turn your leaders into transformational leaders with influence and impact, so everyone wins. This highly effective program not only provides the knowledge and skills necessary to lead, coach, and communicate more effectively, but Steve and Ernie have resources available to impact others throughout your organization so that everyone can be led well. So contact us at pathtoleadersedge@gmail.com and let Steve and Ernie help grow your organization by creating an influence in which others want to engage.
Hey everyone, welcome back to The Leader's Edge. I'm your host, Steve Steele, with my co-host, Ernie Dichotomies, and our special guest today, Jonathan Kohrs. Wow, we covered quite a bit of stuff in that. We covered some of the characters in the book and some of the takeaways we had in the book. But I think I want to dive into something a little bit more. We kind of touched on it a few places, John, and we talked about shame for a little bit, and I want to talk about that, okay? Because I know that in my particular life and things that I've read, shame often has a way of being our identity. The particular thing, it claims our identity. Does that make sense? It claims it. And people say, well, there's guilt and there's shame. Well, guilt is not necessarily a bad thing. Guilt helps us decide what is good, what is bad, what we shouldn't do, what we shouldn't do. But shame, when we get in that position, it claims an identity on us, right? So can you talk to us a little bit about that, John, about how shame played a part in this and how you dealt with this as you wrote the book?
Yeah, to me, there's these reoccurring patterns that happened in the book that reinforce this idea of I don't deserve love. I just don't exist. And the book traces like the origins of that beyond just the relationships or my behavior, but it's this seated idea somewhere that got developed. That is this feeling of not feeling worthy of good things, not feeling worthy of love. And to me, that shame came from, I think the belief that you spoke about is, I have hurt people, therefore I am a bad person. And I think that really started to concretize where everything I looked at was through that lens every time I woke up. And I have 5 pages of therapy and acupuncture and cranial sacral work and plant medicine ceremonies and trips to different places that were all trying to figure out this question of like where did I come from, and what was the origin of this shame, and where does it really how do I experience it? It was a profound journey through the entire book of trying to figure out what this shame is. I think in many ways on the other side of that, I was just looking to be forgiven. It's like I just kept going everywhere trying to find somebody that just would say, hey, I forgive you. You're really a good person.
I'm trying to lead this to something that I'm not trying to give the book away, but I'm going back. You said that you had this belief in yourself that you don't deserve love. But in the book, John, you had 31 affairs. Is that correct?
Oh, probably not 31.
Right.
Wait, Ernie.
I saw 28 or 31. Okay, now you have to read the book. See the strategy. See the strategy. You have to read the book to find out how many affairs. We will leave that there. But I wanted to talk about a very specific woman in the book. I know there's a few women in the book, but I wanted to talk about a specific woman in the book, and her name is Carrie. Can you give us a short snippet of that part of the story? A very short snippet.
Yeah, in meeting Carrie was very much the truth. Before I met Carrie, I said, I just want to know my truth. I just want to know what is the truth of me, because I just couldn't find it. And she was very much the figure that held that for me. And it was the most tumultuous relationship in the book, the most highs and lows. It was the wrestling with myself, the feminine parts of me, the masculine parts of me, all of the paradoxes, the bad parts of me, the good parts of me, the parts that were telling myself every day, hey, you're a really bad dad. You're not doing enough. And the parts of me that were trying to find that forgiveness of, I really am a good dad. In the relationship with Carrie, it was very much an explosion of all of that. It is definitely the most chaotic, tumultuous parts of the book. The book. Well, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
I noticed it in your relationship with Carrie. It was very interesting. In fact, it was like on, off again, on again, on again, off again, on again, off again. And there was these, there's these times, and Ben needed this reassurance that Carrie really loved him.
Yeah.
And he couldn't get it. And he was struggling with that.
Yep.
And Carrie would reassure him, but then there was also this parts of Carrie that would say to Ben, there are parts of it that you're not really measuring up to what you need to be.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So how did Ben, how did you deal with that writing the book? Obviously this is part of your life, but what were you feeling at that point?
Yeah. A lot of the parts of the book I wrote during the more painful periods. And I would tell my therapist, it's like in those painful moments is where I could have the most clarity of truth. And
Absolutely.
That's when it was like being over a crucible and just being pounded until I could really see clearly. And that was a lot of the book, but a lot of the chapters with Carrie. And I do think you're right in how you read it. I think there's also this, like, her not giving me absolution, her not being that God that I'm looking towards, me putting all the power in her place to say, hey, I want you to set me free. I want you to validate me and forgive me and tell me I'm a good person. And it's really hard. I think I write in a way that goes through that struggle of how do you turn towards yourself and how do you give yourself that? I think there's a part in the book where I talk about, I keep taking my heart and putting it out and saying, here you go, and dropping in front of Carrie. And there's this voice that enters that says, pick up your heart and hold it yourself.
Yeah.
Like this is your heart. Quit giving it away. Like this is yours to hold. I think that's one of the deep learnings I learned in that relationship. And it kept pointing me back to me. Instead of fusing or trying to get so much from her, it kept making me be alone with myself, to find that power, find that connection with God, that love and forgiveness that I had inside myself.
Can I say this real quick, John? And I want to say this to our audience, and you said it, and I want to reiterate this because this is so important, because I've done this on myself. I know Ernie has gone through this in her life, but guys, you have to do the dark work. You have to do the work. And there's a lot of work there. If you want to become a better version of who you are, you've got to take those things in your life. You have to turn them upside down. You have to rattle the box. You have to get beyond where you're at right now. And you have to go outside that box, reach down deep in your soul and do the work of who you are, or who you think you are. Because who you think you are and who you are not the same person. You're so much more than that. You're so much more worthy than that. We're worthy in our God the Father, no matter what. But we don't see ourselves that way, John. Right?
Yeah.
And that's what, and I think Carrie was kind of that symbolism for you in that process of trying to figure out, okay, how am I truly loved, and how do I truly love myself? Because obviously you had to have love for yourself. Gain that love for yourself, because when you think you're not worthy, you don't love yourself at all.
Yep. And the book is very chaotic, and it goes through work trips. And I think you get a sense from Ben of he can't sit still.
Right.
He cannot. He's going to Peru. He's flying across the country. He's like, he can't sit still. And I think Carrie represented the cage I had put myself in. And I'm projecting so much onto her in the book. And I think in Carrie, again, it was this pointing back to me of how do I be alone with myself, but how do I be present with myself? And how is love just this capacity to just be with yourself and accept all those aspects and know that there is some divine intelligence in every single thing you're doing. And how can you just breathe and be with yourself? And, I really couldn't be that way until the Carrie relationship. And a lot of the breakups, it seems very adolescent intentionally. It's written in some extremes, but I think that's what we feel like when we're going through that. And we can't sit still and we can't be with ourselves. And we're just searching so desperately for love and for somebody to just say, hey, I really accept you and I really see you. But you can't really do that until you can do it to yourself and just sit down and just look at yourself.
Yes. And I know I think we can talk about this book all day now. I know there's a part of the book that you had a breakdown, like everything is hell.
Yeah.
Can you please talk about that, John?
Yeah. There's aspects of this book where I feel like I felt hell in some degree. It's hard to even describe, but it's an area where there is no light. Like there is no forgiveness. There's no existence. There's just nothingness. It's like you have two sides, like shame and desire. And my desire was, God, I want to be a good dad and I want to be a good partner. But underneath that desire is still the shame. It's like, I want to be a good dad because I think I'm such a bad dad. So, in your desire in that dark form, it actually is the same thing as shame. And that takes you to this place where those aspects of you don't exist. It's like there's so much of who we are. And when we're in that shame, it's like we push it all out and we don't believe all those things. It's like we put ourselves into our own hell. So in the book, I explore these ideas of good and bad and hell and heaven and right and wrong and all these paradoxes. But I really find they live inside each of us. And I really felt that hell that really was deep inside of me. I had a therapist that we would talk a lot about this. And she's like, the secret to getting out of hell. I'm like, what's that? She's like, you just walk out. You feel so horrible that you believe yourself to be so small that you can't take it anymore. You just walk out. But that's hard. It's hard to do when you're used to that your whole entire life. And you just numb yourself to the own lacerations you give yourself.
Ooh, can I comment on that?
Yeah.
And this is why I said this is the things that we experience behind closed doors that we don't talk about. You said it, John. Hell is something that self-inflicted, and we choose to stay there simply because it's familiar. But it's something that we can actually walk away from. But we're so comfortable knowing what's happening, knowing that it's the same old scenario, that we stay there. Okay, I just wanted to reiterate that. Now, I want to go over the alchemy. I know before the commercial, we talked about the 7 stages of alchemy. Is that correct? 7 stages of alchemy. Can you share what those 7 stages are? I know I'm trying to prevent you from saying it, but you can say it now.
Sure. And if you do go to horriblylovely.com, the book's there, and there's an alchemy quiz that you can take. It's a little deeper quiz. A lot of people said this is way too complicated, but I kind of like messy and complicated. It'll give you a sense for which stage you may or may not be in. But the 7 stages are calcination, dissolution, separation, conjunction, fermentation, distillation, and coagulation. Those are really big words. If you go to ChatGPT and just type in Jung, Jung, and stages of alchemy 7, ChatGPT will walk through all of them with you.
Oh dear. Can you give us like a snippet of each stage?
The first couple are really about your ego starting to feel like it's on fire and dissolving into ash, and then starting to mix with something. We probably all felt that in our lives, like something really important to us that we've held on to that just starts to evaporate. It disappears. It gets burned to the ground. And there is this feeling of anger and explosion, like our life is dying. And that very much, you can call it an ego death, facing your ego. Those are some of the first stages. At some point, once it starts to dissolve, it starts to mix with something different. And you're like, oh, I think I might be a little different. And then you start to get this like airy feeling where you separate from that sense, and you get a little taste of, oh, I might be more than just my ego, and I might be more than what I think I am. You can call this the spiritual awakening stage. You start getting access to, oh, I feel some different emotions. I feel some joy inside of me. Then it tends to come right back down to earth. And you kind of go through this second stage where fermentation is rough. It's like the dissolving of grapes. It's like what's left of you is dissolving at the same time you're fermenting into something that's even more pure and divine. And those are kind of happening at the same time. Then you get into this stage of that being purified and lifted up again. So there's this kind of idea Jung had of how do you get access to spirit and the spirit that lives in us? And then how do you come back down and get in touch with your humanness? And at the end, how do you hold both of those equally to realize that we are part spirit? There's a lot of things that work through us, and we're also human beings. And to answer your question of Horribly Lovely, the book very much is an exploration of paradoxes. And I think that's the paradox is like, how do you live this life? And it can be horrible and it can be lovely. It can be messy. It can be beautiful. And it is part spirit and human. And how do we embrace both those parts of it?
Yeah. And I think, John, that the seven layers or 7 parts of alchemy is really where the work is. Once you identify that, then how to work through that process. What does that mean? And I will tell you, for me, a lot of it, I don't know what's for you. For me, a lot of it is in prayer and meditation. That's where I begin to really open up who I am inside myself. And I will tell our audience, if you've never tried meditating or tried prayer and meditation, give it a shot. It will bring you to a point of stillness in your life. And when you get still is when things begin to shape, things begin to come to you, things begin to happen, and the processes will begin to work. The problem is we don't want to get still. And the problem is, like Ernie said earlier, we're comfortable being in the familiar. It's hard to get out of the unfamiliar. Because of fear.
And to be in the process of change, like to not control it and to allow change to happen. And I see it so much with people I talk to. It's like you get this little burst of spirit and essence, and you want to hold on to it so desperately because it's like a salve to that shame and that pain you're feeling. And they hold on to it, but the whole process is to come back down and to shatter that and then come back down to a human and keep evolving. So I think for the listeners and people listening, I hope alchemy gives you a roadmap of sorts that you can look at this and say, other people are going through the same stage. I know there's something that's going to come next. And I have faith that there is something that's helping me become who I really am.
Oh, I think that's how your journey unfolded. I love what you said earlier, John. You love messy and challenging stuff anyway, and it showed in the book itself. I know we're approaching commercial, but I do have a question I'd like to ask before that. We can talk about tools like meditation or prayer meditation or going through the alchemy. So in your journey, John, I know there's voices, there's screams, there's sounds in your head. How did you handle those voices that is screaming behind you and say, I don't want to do this. This is something I'm not comfortable with.
Yeah.
Can you share that with us, please?
To me, it's building a deep relationship with all the parts of you.
Yes.
I think there's something symbolic about the Big Bang and that idea that everything blew apart and fragmented and created the universe. And I think that happens inside of us. I think when we come here, there's a Big Bang and there are billions of parts of us. And I think all those voices sometimes are things inside of you that want to get your attention, have a relationship with you. To me, it was slowing all that down, trying to figure out what voices are really mine, what voices are other people's voices, what voice is a spirit that's trying to talk to me, trying to do something. There's this like discernment of what is the voice, where's it coming from, where is it trying to tell me, and then engaging in the right way with those. I think that is this aspect of, I hear people say, well, I have a self, be soulful, like who are you, the I am, and those are words, but I think there's this idea of like, okay, I am the father of me, or the mother of me, or the keeper of me, and I want to be able to integrate these voices and hear and kind of be in my own kingdom. And we talk so much about sovereignty and having sovereignty and all these things, and it equates to freedom a little bit. But I think there is this sovereignty of here's my kingdom, and I'm going to integrate all my parts and have us all understand that we're under one wiring. We're under one kind of soulful experience, and to be part of that. And I think meditation is a way to, underneath that, to get to that, is to be present and grateful that I'm here and I get to actually work with these parts, and I can breathe, and all those things inside of me live because I keep breathing. And I know that's a rambly way to get to that end point, but I think what I found is every time I breathe, I'm giving myself life, and how miraculous is that?
Yes. I was going to say something, but we will take a quick break. John just shared. He keeps opening stuff up for me. John just shared. We talked about shame. We talked about hell. We talked about the 7 stages of alchemy. When we return, we will share the healing process in the book called Horribly Lovely. We will be right back to The Leader's Edge.
Do you ever find yourself battle with self-doubt? Or struggle with trusting in yourself? Or wishing that you have more self-confidence to go after what you truly want? My name is Ernalita Dacumos, and I know what it feels like to shrink, second guess, and silence yourself. But I also know that you don't have to stay there. You have the power within you to rise, own your story, and step into the confident version of yourself. Through Confidently You LLC, I help women just like you break free from self-doubt and build the courage to thrive in both life and leadership. Together, we will uncover strategies, tools, and mindset shifts to transform the way you see yourself. And if you're ready to stop shrinking and start shining, I would love to help you. Visit me today at confidentlyu.club. Because I am a firm believer that confidence isn't just for some people, it is for you.
Are you ready to elevate your organization with a team of transformational leaders? Do you want to attract and nurture top talent while enhancing communication and productivity across generations? Hi, I'm Steve Steele, co-host of The Leader's Edge, and your coach with the Maxwell Leadership Team. My program equips leaders with essential skills and resources to lead, coach, and communicate effectively, ensuring everyone thrives. With tailored insights and proven strategies, I'm here to help your entire organization succeed. So reach out today at growthinleadership@gmail.com or visit johncmaxwellgroup.com/Steve Steele. Hey everyone, welcome back to The Leader's Edge. I'm your host, Steve Steele, with my co-host, Ernalita Dacumos, and our special guest today, Jonathan Kohrs. John, this book is very raw, and there's a lot of stuff in it, and I just want to tell our audience and our listeners that when you get the book and you read it, just be ready, because it's very raw, and there's a lot of realness in this and a lot of experiences. I'm sure that you, as an audience member, have participated as well, or parts of it similar to it. I know that things that I looked at in this book, okay, I can remember all kinds of things. I'm thinking, yeah, I can place myself in that. And so I want our audience to go out and get the book. When you hold the book up again one more time, if you don't mind. Horribly Lovely. Get that book.
The model of the book.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful book. And go out and get that book and start reading it and dive into it. And you're going to see things that happen internally within yourself. And I challenge you. I really challenge you to go out and really take a minute and work on yourself as you read this process, because I think this is what it's all about, John. So we're coming to the point now where, okay, you've been through this hard part of your life. You're working through this hard part of your life. And, the biggest challenge we have, I think you stated it, is really being conscious, because we live so much in our subconscious minds, and being that conscious moment every single day of who you really are. That's where you begin to heal. Can you take us through that journey of healing, John?
Sure. And maybe there's a good line in the book. Ben, I take a trip to Slovenia, and there's a Mother Mary voice that keeps ringing in his ear. And there's something she tells him that if you read the book carefully, you'll see kind of a build up to this moment. But she says, be naked and you'll be protected. Mm-hmm. And it's this idea of removing your armor. And there's a lot of armor I put on that I didn't even realize I had. Yep. And there is this like being okay, being naked, and being yourself, and knowing that you're still protected when you do that. Like, there's this place you come from, and there's a purpose you're here, of why you're here. I think that was really the journey to healing. It's like, how do I be naked and see myself and be really truthful with myself and be truthful with others? And I think in that process, I started to figure out what does forgiveness mean. And there's this, like, when do we receive grace? There's like this idea of grace versus forgiveness. And I like this idea of grace, that you've lived through the experience and you've really felt everything you needed to. And there was a lot of time through the last 9 years, I felt like, man, what I'm doing to somebody else or what's happening to me is something I did. And I'm really experiencing how much I've hurt myself in my life. And I think there's a point where we can start to embrace this idea of, okay, I really can forgive myself and give myself grace, that I haven't done anything bad. I'm just forgiving myself because I thought I was so little and I didn't deserve love. I think that was the key to starting to heal, and to take those wounds and lacerations I had inflicted upon myself and starting to say, I'm sorry I did this to you. I'm sorry I thought you were so little that you deserved all this. I feel like that was the moment where the wounds could start to heal again without just reopening time and time again.
I think that I think Gabby Bernstein said this one time, and says, learn to let yourself off the hook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Learn to let yourself off the hook.
And that was really hard for me, because there is this subroutine way down that just wants to be good. Like I have all these good intentions. Sometimes in my good intentions, things go bad. And it was really hard to just let myself off the hook and say, no, I'm just learning. Yeah. This is part of the experience. I would do medicine journeys, and I would sit for hours and just be with myself, asking myself questions. And I remember there was a time where this voice came in and said, what if everything you're doing is the exact right thing for everybody? You just don't see it. That even in the things you punish yourself for being so bad, what if there's a divine reason all these things are happening? So there were years upon years of this talk track of trying to soften it, trying to loosen it, trying to not be so hard on myself. And that's explored in the book of how does that softness allow us to be able to receive ourselves? Like how many of us are just, again, with this armor protecting ourselves so hard and rigid that we just won't be naked to allow like our own love to come in and penetrate that shell. Mm-hmm. So I think Mother Mary's voice of, be naked and you'll be protected makes a lot more sense to me. The more I kind of digest, my life.
Mm. I cannot share enough how interesting how raw and how honest this book is. And to our viewers and listeners, it's a must-read book. If you would love to go through the healing journey, this is what healing looks like. This is what the adventure of the healing process looks like. Now, I have one last question, John. Who is Helen in the book?
Who is Helen?
Who is Helen? Very good question.
Yes.
So
I had to ask. I was like, what?
you made it to the very end. Okay, so there's a symbology that runs through the whole book and a myth. And for those that know the Paris of Troy story, if you know that myth, like Paris was supposed to determine the most beautiful of all the gods. I think it was Aphrodite and Helen and another one that came down. But he didn't want to be truthful. Like he knew whatever he said would create war. So I think he had this agreement with Aphrodite and picked her, and that created this whole war. And then because of that, he got to marry Helen of Troy. And it's this idea of like conflict and war and all those things and beauty. It's a great amalgamation for the entire book. So Helen represents that, and this feminine figure of me that comes in. I don't want to spoil the last chapter, but there's a lot of symbology and a lot of things happening in the last chapter. But to me, Helen is the female version of me. It's this feminine aspect of me that we didn't get a chance to talk about a lot in this, but it's this integration of the feminine aspect of me that I had pushed aside. So there's Helen a couple places in the book, and she emerges at the very, very end.
Gotcha.
And kind of wraps things up. Yeah.
And that is the cliffhanger, everyone. So buy the book so you can read it.
That's right.
And figure out who truly Helen is. John, thank you so much for today. And I am sure our listeners and viewers are so interested to find out, what are you currently working on? Where can they connect with you, and where can they buy the book?
Sure. Books on Amazon. You can buy in hardbound copy, paperback, or Kindle. You can also go to horriblylovely.com. There's a free alchemy quiz. At the end, you can book a time to just have a conversation with me. Not coaching, but just talk to you about alchemy and what's going on in your life. I really honor the spirit of this book, and in doing test reading, we found it does evoke a lot of emotions.
Yes.
So I want to be available for when those things come up. And I want to make sure there's a support structure that holds you in whatever you're going through. So you can take the alchemy quiz. We can talk. Beyond that, I love writing. This was my first book, and I loved it.
We can't tell.
It really probably should be a couple different books, but I want to write more. It brings a lot of joy to my life. First book, so I'm writing more. There will be probably more books to come, and I'm just practicing being and slowing down, to be honest. I mean, there's a lot of things I could tell you I'm working on around inner transformation, organizational development stuff, but I'm just trying to slow down and enjoy things. Like this morning I was outside and I planted a tree, and like I loved every minute of it. So those are the things I really enjoy, just slowing down and just kind of existing.
That's
Love
beautiful.
that.
That's beautiful. Okay, so guys, go get this book. It's going to be transformational for you. You're going to deep dive into yourself and figure out so many things about who you are, the work you need to do. And it's just amazing, just simply amazing. So go out and get the book. But I want to talk about next week, Ernie, real quick, sneak peek on the Leader's Edge. So this next week, we're going to be honored and welcomed the amazing wordsmith, Dr. Michael Cuckoo. He'll be sharing insights from his powerful new book called Leader, Lead Yourself, a must-hear conversation on what it truly means to lead from within before you can actually lead other people. So don't miss that episode, or this episode of The Leader's Edge, where leadership meets transformation. And John, as always, thank you so much for the day. You just did it was amazing. And guys, I can't say enough. Go get the book.
Okay, I'm gonna hold it again.
Yes, go get the Horribly Lovely. Get the book on Amazon. Read it. Indulge
Yes.
it. And take your time on it. Don't get in a hurry with it. Take your time
Mhm.
on it. So I think you'll love it.
Yeah. Thank you both. It's an absolute honor, and it takes a lot of trust to start reading this book without knowing me. And I could see your faces as we've had some pre-calls of, wow, there's a lot here. How do we approach this? So I really
Yes.
appreciate you being open, non-judgmental, and just being with me in it. It means a lot to me. I really appreciate you both.
We appreciate you and the book itself because, again, I believe I've said this for the third time now. These are the things we don't talk about
Right.
behind closed. These are the things that are behind closed doors, and you opened that curtain. You opened that door for everyone.
Yes.
I love the message that giving ourselves permission to be messy.
Yes.
Because there's no manual in life. It's just a matter of us how we're going to handle that.
You know,
and you should.
Ernie,
Go ahead,
the work is messy as well. The work is messy as
yes.
well. So it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's hard in American culture today. I feel this sense of trying to be perfect and trying to look the part. I think we're still there. So even when you do inner work, it's like it still needs to look perfect and compartmentalized and like we have everything together. But like you said, Steve, that's not the way it works.
No,
exactly. It does not. It does not. And just a reminder for all of our viewers and listeners, you can find The Leader's Edge on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. And if you find value in these conversations, please hit that subscribe or follow button to stay connected. We wanted to say thank you to all of our listeners because without you, The Leader's Edge would not be possible. We are excited to have you here, but we'll see you again next time. Bye everyone.